Everyone, in today's video I wanted to show you how I did these gel nails, but before we start I wanted to show you the design that I did earlier, and I was actually pretty surprised that none of these nails started lifting because I did them for about like 3-4 weeks ago. But before we start, what we have to do is take off the design and also check if there's any type of lifting, and also make sure that we take that off, because when we add the gel, if that's not off, what can happen is that our nails can end up falling a lot faster than they're supposed to. And to do this step, I'm gonna use my e-file. Something that I recommend you is to make sure that the speed is not too high, because remember that we're almost working on a natural nail. First thing that I'm going to be doing is file the gel polish that I used on my last set. And I'm also going to start looking if there's lifting. The way that you guys are going to see that is that the gel is going to start looking white. And what I'm going to do is that I'm going to pass the e-file on that zone until it's all off. What you guys are going to be seeing is that little bits of this gel are going to start falling off. That's normal, don't worry. Need that to happen so when we do the refill, we make sure that all of these nails are going to last longer. And this is how the left hand looks like. I don't know if you guys can tell, but there's some spots that the gel fell off. And now I'm gonna do the exact same process on the right one. And this is how it ended up looking. But before we move on, what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna take off the dust that is left after filing. And this is how both of the hands look like. Now I'm gonna move on and I'm gonna start working on the cuticle. To do this step, I'm gonna use my e-file, and this is also known as Russian manicure. You guys know we're gonna have to use 3 different types of beads because all of them have different purposes. But I'm gonna start with this one, and first I'm gonna go over the right side of the cuticle. What this is gonna do is that it's gonna start lifting it. And once I'm done with the right part, I'm gonna do the exact same thing on the left side of the cuticle. As I'm not used to doing this step, what I recommend you is to just use a cuticle pusher and push it upwards, because otherwise what's gonna happen is that you can end up hurting the skin or even the natural nail. And now that I'm done using the first bead, I'm gonna go ahead and use the second one. Here, what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna make sure that the cuticle is being cut off. And to finish up, I'm gonna use my favorite bead, and what this is gonna do is that it's going to make the cuticles look a lot more polished and lifted, and it's also gonna give it this clean look. And of course, I'm gonna do the exact same process on the right hand, and this is how the cuticle ends up looking. Like I told you earlier, it makes it a lot lifted, and it's going to make the entire refill process a lot easier. This is how both of the hands ended up looking. Now moving on, what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna start filing these nails, because like you guys know, we need to add some products to prepare the natural nails so we can make the gel last longer. And I'm also going to be filing the sides of the nail, because what this is going to do is that it's going to create a base for me. Now that everything is filed, I'm going to start applying the products. And the first one that I'm going to use is this prep. And here what I'm going to do is that I'm going to apply it on top of all of the natural nails, especially where we're going to be adding the gel. Since we're doing gel nails, I'm not going to use primer. Instead, I'm going to use bonder. And here what I'm going to do is that I'm still going to apply it on top of all of the natural nails. Now everything is done and we're ready to do the gel refill. To do this, I'm gonna use this gel that I used the last time, which is this pink one. I recommend you guys to use the same colors, because otherwise what's gonna happen is that you're gonna end up mixing everything and the base of the nail is gonna look a little bit strange. To do this refill, I'm gonna try not to add too much product, because like you guys know, gel ends up expanding. So And also gel is very different from acrylic because it doesn't dry out by itself. You need to cure it so it can be solid. To this, we don't have to add too much product, just the one that is necessary to cover the nail, because we're not building up this gel nail from the beginning. We're just doing a refill. And I'm gonna apply the gel near the cuticle like I'm doing right here. The most important part of doing gel nails is that we have to make sure that there's no bubbles left, because afterwards when we have to file the nails, it's going to look a little bit weird. And the way that I do this is that I use my brush and I do circular motions. I hope that you guys can see this well on the video. And in that way, I make sure that if there's any bubbles, since I'm doing this circular motion, it pops it off. Guys, apply gel near the cuticle. Something that you have to make sure is that it doesn't touch the skin, because what can happen is that it can end up damaging it, and also that can eventually cause lifting. What I do is that I apply a little bit of the product near the cuticle and I do circular motions until I drag the gel downward till it gets near the tip of the nail. So if you guys notice that there's some spots left to cover near the tip, you guys can also apply a little bit of this gel. Like I told you before, gel is very different from acrylic because we have to cure it. And what that means is that we have to put it underneath the light so it can crystallize. My gel takes about 60 seconds, but that can vary depending on the brand. So once I'm done filling up each nail, I'm gonna cure it for about 60 seconds. I recommend you not to wait too long, because what can happen is that gel can move and can end up ruining the entire design. To do this is that first I apply it near the cuticles, and doing the same circular motion, I'm gonna drag the gel until it gets near the tip. And also I'm gonna cover up any tiny space that is left behind. And this is how these nails look like after filling them up. Now I'm gonna start doing the exact same process on the right hand. Like I told you earlier, I'm gonna start by applying a tiny bit of gel near the cuticles, and I'm gonna drag it down until it gets on the tip. You guys do refills, something that you have to make sure is that once you apply the new gel, it ends up mixing well with what you already had before. And I'm gonna keep doing the same thing on all of the nails. And this is how the nails look like after doing the refill. Like you guys can tell, they are well covered. But now what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna start filing them. And the way I like to file nails is that I start filing the sides. Since these are almond shape, I'm gonna make sure that they are symmetrical and rounded. Now that the sides are filed, we can go ahead and start filing the surface. And you guys know that I usually like to use my e-file for that, but gel is a softer product, so I recommend you to use a regular file. And here what I'm gonna do is that I'll make sure that these nails are pretty thin, and also I'm gonna file down any bumps that are left behind. And this is how the nails look like after being filed. Like you guys can tell, they are well defined now. And this is how both of the hands look like. And now everything is ready and we can do the fall design. And I'm gonna start by applying the base color. And today I chose this very light but neutral gel polish. I feel like this type of colors makes it easy to create designs. Here, what you have to make sure is that all of the nails are well covered, And you guys know that usually I like to use gel polishes, and what that means is that they also have to be cured for them to dry. Mine takes about 30 seconds, but check how much yours needs. And I don't know if you guys can notice, but these type of light colors can be hard to cover up well. So I'm also going to go over it twice until it's the color that I end up liking. I recommend you to do this second step because, like you guys know, having a good base makes the design look way better. And remember to cure everything for about 30 seconds. And this is how the nails look like after adding the base color. So this design, I recommend you to use a very thin nail brush because otherwise it's going to be way too hard. And like I told you earlier in this tutorial, I'm going to be using fall colors. So the first one that I'm going to use is this really pretty brown that has this type of reddish undertone that I think I already used in one of my videos. But what I'm going to be doing here is that I'm going to create a pretty abstract design, but I'm always going to be using the same type of colors. And I'm going to be doing lines of different thicknesses, and like you guys can tell, I'm also going to use yellow, white, and green. When I did this design, I tried to find colors that kind of had the same undertone because I didn't want them to be too vibrant. Otherwise, it would end up looking more so like a summer design. This second nail, I'm going to start by using the green, and here what I did is this type of curvy line that went until the tip of the nail. And now I'm going to do the exact same thing with this white gel polish. Just like I told you earlier, I'm going to be using the same colors, but this time they're going to be in the opposite way because I feel like it makes the design look a lot more interesting. And also something that I do when I create this type of abstract designs is that I try to make the lines of different thicknesses. I feel like otherwise it makes the design look too simple and kind of boring. And to finish up this nail, I'm going to fill up what's left with the same brown gel polish that has the reddish undertone. Also, if you guys don't like these colors, that's fine because you can switch it up and make it what you want it to be. This third nail, I'm also going to start by using the green, and I'm going to make this pretty thick curvy line that is going to look a little bit like an S. To create this design, I'm also using gel polishes. So a little tip that I have for you guys is to cure each color as you go on, because if you do it all at once, what's going to happen is that all of the colors are going to end up mixing and it's going to be really hard to fix. And now I'm going to finish up this third nail by applying the brown gel polish. On this fourth one, I'm also going to start using the same brown. I don't know if you guys can tell, but what I do is that I keep changing the colors. Even though they all go the same way, I try to make it a little bit different. What I'm doing here is that first I'm going to create this type of curvy line. It's kind of hard to explain, but that's a good thing about doing abstract designs is that you can kind of make up what you want as you go. And after using the brown, I'm going to be doing the same thing with the yellow and the white. And like you guys can tell, the green is going to be the thicker line. Now onto the last nail. Here I'm going to start by using the green gel polish, and this time I'm only going to do this abstract design on the tip of the nail because I feel like it looks better this way. This green line is going to be kind of thick, and then I'm going to follow it with the white gel polish. And to finish up this design, I'm going to add a little bit of white and brown, and both lines are going to be about the same thickness. Remember to keep curing each color for about 30 seconds. And of course, I'm going to do the exact same design on the left hand. And this is how it looks like. But we're not completely done yet, because what we have to do is add a little bit of this top coat. You guys know that this is going to add a really pretty shine, but it's also going to protect the design that we created, and it's going to make it last longer. What I'm gonna do here is that I'm gonna apply it on top of all of the nails, and I'm gonna cure it for about 60 seconds. And this is how the design looks like on both hands. I think these colors are gonna go perfect for the fall. And if you guys don't like something, of course, you can switch it up. I hope that you guys like this tutorial. If you did, please subscribe and like this video. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye!